It's a full court press against the press. An outright assault on the First Amendment. The judicial part of our government is seeking to stifle dissent, intent on suppressing all acts and attempts to enlighten the masses. Now, if you're intelligent, you dislike as much as I do what Judith Miller wrote. But she had the right and obligation to keep her sources private. Throwing her in jail was a black mark against the First Amendment. She lied for the New York Times and Libby and such, Cheney and Bush and that whole rotten rabble. Carried their water. But again, the freedom of the press implies freedom from coercion. Here's a name you don't know. Sami al-Arayan. That's how I say it. The man's a Palestinian, and his accent is probably way different than mine, but him and two co-defendants were charged with 96 counts. And after 12 years of dogging that poor doctor, there was not a single guilty verdict for all 96 counts. At the most, there was deadlock, I think, on 6 items, and not guilty on everything else. But he's still in jail. Why? Because the government is trying to suppress any and all dissent. And it's easy if you're a Palestinian. According to Shrub, you got no rights, so they can pretty much do with him what they will. Now I wonder how much longer before I'm declared a non-combatant. Or hell, I ain't even too sure of what George Orwellian term they'll label me by for decrying the misuse of government going on. But here's another name. Josh Wolf. 24-year-old man sitting in jail right now because he won't name names. And in the 50s, there were the McCarty hearings, and so we are doubly damned in this day and age for putting people in jail for refusing to name names. It's the worst of the Nixon regime, coupled with the excesses of the Cold War, and this war on terror is directed at the homeland. I learned tonight that old God, I don't even like saying his name, but the VIP or VIC, the vice president, if ever. Now there's a good label for you. The president of Vice, his son-in-law, head of Homeland Security, Department of Chemical Plant Safety, or some such misnomer, because he's actually serving the interest of the chemical plants and making sure they're as open to terrorists as possible. Like they're just hoping and praying there's some kind of event so they can proclaim martial law and get rid of the Constitution completely. Between the Patriot Act and that military commission authority, or whatever they labeled that last law they passed in Congress last year. You no telling how many laws I'm breaking tonight. But having ranted, I'll sleep a little better, because maybe one body will wake up. Now, into the circle file.